Hello, everyone. My name is the Gospeler, and today I have with me Firefly. And today she's going to be talking about some experiences that she's had as a child with apparently being able to see spirits, or as we would call them now, demons and angels.
Hello, it's nice to meet everybody. I grew up being able to see spirits in quotation marks. I seen dark shadows moving about. I've seen grown men that were there that actually weren't there. Little girls that I thought were dead spirits that I actually became friends with. Yeah.
How would you describe your gift to a non believer or a Christian who doesn't believe in the spiritual?
Um, Well, definitely when I was younger, I described it as a curse because I was scared of seeing everything that was evil. I knew between good and evil. I knew that there were some good spirits, is what I thought, obviously angels now, but and demons. And I think the best way I can describe it to people who aren't believers or new to the faith is that it's just a gift from God. It's something that connects you with him so that you can do works for him and his kingdom. And it's Holy Spirit filled and led. And it's honestly a beautiful thing to have these gifts.
Tell us a little bit about like when you first started seeing these spirits, right?
Mhm.
And how it affected your childhood.
I guess the first thing I seen was I called him the bad man, as a kid. Um, I was sitting on the couch with my mother. We were watching TV, and my mother felt me shaking, like quivering, like almost as if I was cold, but I was scared. And she asked me what was wrong. I said, I seen the bad man walking from the bathroom, like, to the basement. So I need new eyes, Mom. Like, my eyes aren't working. And that obviously freaked her out. And it led on to a whole investigation with like psychiatric visits to see if I was schizophrenic. And then led to eventually a psychic who said I was seeing these things, and ended up making friends with a little girl named Sarah, or at the time thought was a little girl but was actually a demon. um Saying that she died in a pond near my house and she was waiting for her mom, and I told her I'd wait with her. And from then on we became friends. We played hide and seek. We played with toys. She'd move them around when no one else was around, or if people did see it move, it was for a split second and across the countertop. um and it didn't really affect my childhood, I'd per se, because I never really talked about it outside of the household. I grew up with an indigenous family members, so we talked about it. We were spiritual. It was something in the norm for us, I suppose. But as of that, it didn't affect me socially.
Tell us more about your mom and the psychiatrist and psychic and kind of how that all played.
Yeah, so when I told my mom I was seeing these things after she started noticing I was actually having full blown conversations, like if I was face to face with someone, rather than having just an imaginary friend. She took me to a psychiatrist to get some tests done. All the tests ran normal. Uh, since we did grow up spiritual, she decided to take the psychic route and call up a psychic, tell her everything that was going on in very, very, like, small portions. So she didn't tell the psychiatrist everything. Or not, sorry, not the psychiatrist, the psychic. And the psychic kind of just went off and was like, yes, like, she is talking to a little girl. And she did die near your house. There's a bad man there, and then there's a woman who just kind of protects the little girl. So your daughter's not crazy. She's actually very gifted, with spiritual sense. Uh, called it the third eye, that type of nonsense, of course, just didn't make any sense. But at the time it did, when we were younger, of course, and we weren't of the faith.
Can you tell me a little bit about not your childhood, not coming to the faith, but in the time in between? So growing up, maybe from teenager to right before came to the faith, what was that time period like with seeing these things and not really understanding what they are?
Well, after that, I just kind of got used to seeing them. I kind of realized that, hey, these are just dead people walking that weren't able to wander. And then I came across a group of women who were into tarot cards, crystals, and one of them had gifts like me as well. And she was telling me that it's extremely powerful, and how I convert this energy into something rather than having it go buck wild and everywhere and just had no control over it. I was to put that energy into rocks, crystals, amethyst, all that kind of good stuff, right? And then from then on, I started doing my own research, and it was getting into tarot cards, because tarot cards were my interpretation of what I have now, which is prophecy. But I was using it for demonic activities. Same thing with crystals. I was putting luck, energy, bad feelings into crystals and then cleansing them in moonlight, thinking that it was helping me somehow, which it never ended up actually truly helping. It just made things 10 times worse. And I was lost for a very long time. I ended up getting into witchcraft even deeper, making spells, potions, whatever you want to call it, and hexing people.
While you were doing witchcraft and lots of this new age crystal stuff, did you know at the time, did you have any discernment at the time, like you were doing something that wasn't good for you?
Um, no, I wouldn't per se, like, I knew that it wasn't good for me. I just knew certain things didn't work that other witches were saying that would work for me, such as, like, example, doing a spell for money. I never got that money. I never seen it coming. I never experienced any of that, while all these other witches are saying, hey, like, I just received all this money from burning some candles that I chanted over, and I put crystals and herbs and all this stuff, and yet here I was still not receiving anything. And obviously now I know that it was because I was idolizing false things that weren't actually going to give me what I needed, or thought I needed. And so I guess there was that, but actually thinking I was doing something wrong or there was like discernment for it, I wouldn't say.
To seeing quote unquote spirits to inevitably getting into witchcraft, how did that all lead up to you coming to the faith and realizing, hey, what I'm doing, that's demonic, and what I'm seeing is war going on between good and evil spirits?
Right. So I actually came to the faith due to my now husband and his brother-in-law. We all got drunk one night. We were all drinking, smoking, doing all worldly things, and I was debating them, saying a bunch of nonsense that I'm extremely embarrassed of now. But, I was spewing nonsense, and it was from my ignorance of not growing up in the faith. And I said, if God's real, then he needs to show me somehow. And then I didn't think anything of it. I prayed once and was like, if you're real, come show me. I don't care how. And about I'd say not even 2 days later, I went to sleep and I had a dream. I was in this big black room, just nothing else besides in front of me a huge white light, and a voice came from it saying that I need to forgive myself. It was the most important thing, which at the time I didn't understand why I needed to forgive myself. I didn't think I did anything wrong. I didn't think I had anything like harbored and set inside my soul that I continued to linger. But then he said, I need to forgive my biological father, who I hated very much so at the time and didn't think I could ever forgive. And then he said that he loved me and that he was the one and true God. um, and that the gifts that he's given me is something for his kingdom that he already had set planned out. And then I woke up crying. I was already crying in my sleep, I guess. And I ended up confronting my now husband and his twin brother about it, and it exploded from there.
Stay tuned for part two, guys. Okay, we're cutting it off here for today. But in episode two, we're going to be getting into everything from what they look like to how they play a role in our daily Christian lives, and how and where and what she sees these things as. So stay tuned for the next episode, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless.